We'll have a meeting.
Yeah, right, that's why you don't know who we are.
Ron, wait, show Ron. Ron.
There's more seats inside. Gentlemen, you want to sit down?
Yes, sir. I ain't touching nothing on that thing.
All right, we're gonna call it order at 6:56. And Barbara's gonna go through a roll call.
Okay, ready to go?
Here.
Aye.
Here.
Tony?
Here.
Paul?
Here.
Paul?
Here.
Kalani?
Here.
What?
Here.
Okay, we have two vacancies, we have four.
Okay. First, move a little bit out of order this evening on public testimony. On any agenda items, do not have them come in after our guests have had their chance to present.
Did somebody fax me the signing?
We have three or four guests, I'm not sure here. Or Chief and Hilo. Chief and Hilo? Oh, we took the Hilo, okay, great. Okay, so we have David Henderson this morning from the Division of Forestry and Wildlife Acquisition Acquisition Program. We're going to have him do a presentation on some of the questions that we've had on access and acquisition. We have some questions for Lisa, as well on the legalization. And then additional questions that came up possibly if we have time. So with that, I'd like to introduce David Penn, Division of Forestry. Just give us a little bit of your background. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Penn. I'm employed through the University of Hawaii Pacific Cooperative Studies Unit, which is assigned to the DLNR Access and Acquisition Program. In the wildlife program at the Division of Forestry and Wildlife. I landed in Hilo in my most of the time since then. I've worked in state government, federal government, university, my own private company, office in the state. And I just started this job about 3 months ago, which was previously conducted by Jordan Jokiel. I met with Jordan in June, and over all of the things he was working on, over the miles that he was able to provide. And since then, I've been learning about all of the different access and acquisition project issues that have been going on, wrapping up a lot of loose ends that have to be taken care of within a certain time frame. And so now that I've started to get my head around a lot of things and done some research into it and reconnected with the people who were involved, forward to making some more progress with the hunting community, with the forest holders in general, and get more of these things done so that we can have more access, better access in different forests and hunting areas. So Tom asked me to come and give an update to this meeting. There's 3 things that I laid out in the handout that I provided to the commission. One is just sort of programmatic things that are going on in the Division of Forestry and Wildlife. There were a few questions that emailed to me by the commission that I can address to some extent. And when Jordan's record, he had printouts of several updates that he had given to the commission. I don't know if that was actually paper that he handed to folks or stuff that he talked out. Basically, I took the most recent one that he's given and went through that and updated myself, so I could update you both on everything. So I you on previously. And those are the things I'd like to focus on tonight, but do other things as well as so mentioned my role work in DOFAW. My phone number is there on the handout. It's 587-4171. 4171. At the desk I sit at in Columbus. You can call me, leave a message there, and get back in touch with you. That's the best way to relate. In terms of the program that I work in, wildlife program, unfortunately, our wildlife program manager for, I think, the last year or so, Marie Moring, just resigned recently, and so that position is now vacant and is being backfilled. My colleague John Vetter, a wildlife biologist, is currently on temporary assignment for that position. And John Vetter, V-E-T-E-R. And then the game biology position, which has been vacant for a long time, there's a person who's getting to start on October 1st. I think we're all hoping that job, but let you know when that happens. And he's actually there, sitting there in the hall, that's doing his job. But he's scheduled to start on October 1st. Then the things that Tom asked me to talk about, number one, what is the scope of my work under the Access and Acquisitions Program. And the way it's defined in my job description, there's a few components. One is to participate in strategic planning, that goes on in divisional forestry and wildlife, to confirm existing access routes, which I know is a big thing that George is working on, particularly here in Hawaii County, to formalize some of the existing access agreements that are out there, or maybe move it from a handshake into some kind of written documentation, or to make sure that picture that's expiring get renewed. That's one of the items. And then to create new access, to create new hunting areas, to make acquisitions of land for both conservation and recreational purposes, including public hunting. So broadly, that's kind of the scope of the duties that are defined in my job description. Also public outreach and education, and we have other people who work through our life. That's why I did that part, and that's also part of it. Then the next item was to sort of give a heads up on Jordan's activities and where we are now on some of the things that he was working on. I'll go to a few of those in detail in the next part. And the third question that Tom had was about access to hunting land in Kona, Maui. And I wasn't really sure exactly what area you were talking about, and I haven't gotten into that component of the access to GPS as easily as some of the other ones. But just to an example from maps that are in our hunting rules, here are some of the areas in Kona, right? The areas down here, the forest reserve, which is open for hunting. So that's map 7 in our hunting rule. And then there's some other areas further down in South Kona, which are the natural area reserves. And so these are all the hunting units, and it's labeled with the letters according to how they're in the hunting rules. So if you could give me some more detail on which areas in particular you're concerned about, I can just put that on the list for things to work on down the road quite quickly. Yeah. So then have area of these others, then have access, for example, I believe that according to the Honolulu Forest Reserve Management Plan, that this little strip right here is the way to go in. Whether that's actually open or not, I don't know. A little corridor there from the road.
That camera needs to be pointed at that, Bobby.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So I believe that according to the documents that are in the access list, but if that's the one you're concerned about, I can follow up on that. But I'm not sure who gave that question. That wasn't that.
That's a question that that comes frequently from Kona hunters. I recommend one day you try to walk that access. And find it and then walk it. And you'll see our difficulty, right? Both those beach areas are landlocked, right?
The other two, this one and that one.
Right, all of them, all three of them are landlocked. Almost inaccessible. Unless you trespass, which we highly don't recommend, so. It's state, it's public land, it's hunting land, and yet there is no access to it. So a prime example of an opportunity. Prime example of an opportunity.
Okay. Well, that was one of the, that's one of the areas.
Gas on your, please, that is they're the ones who know the access.
Yeah, if somebody can help me arrange that, sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, we can arrange that.
yeah.
So just for your, there's a group within GNAC, a subgroup within GNAC that was working with George Jokio, right? And Willie Joe and I are both on that group.
Oh, excuse me. Hi, sorry, this is Craig. You know, we cannot see the screen, it's so small. Can you hold up like 2 minutes and then Don's gonna try to make it so it's only one big screen. So can you have the speaker hold up for like 2 minutes, please? 'Cause right now we can't see anything.
Okay. What I need them to do on your side is to hang up the connection, and then I'll reestablish the connection.
Yeah,
Not on the
so,
phone, just on the video.
yeah, so can we have a recess for like 2 minutes?
Okay, done.
Yeah,
I think that the sound is on, actually.
on your side,
You're an echo, yeah?
yeah, you can turn down the volume on your hand, on your remote as well, that way you won't get the echo.
Okay, can you hear it now? Hello?
We can hear you on the, yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you, can you hear us? Hello?
Hi, Don, can you hear me?
I can, are you talking into the microphone or are you talking into the,
The Polycom mic.
you're not on speakerphone on your phone?
Telephone's on mute.
Telephone is on mute.
Don, telephone is on mute.
That's not possible because we can hear you through the telephone.
Tom, this is Kalani. Can we just do one recess and then these guys can talk it out? Okay, so can we all step out on the side and let these guys intervene and do what they gotta do?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Tony, can I ask you a question?
Hi,
Go ahead.
I'm here, I'm talking on the telephone, are you talking to the telephone?
Until the air conditioner shuts
No,
off.
until it shuts off, like 2 hours.
You must take
previously.
Yes, I can hear you, you must have the microphone on the telephone, because if you're talking
from
in
people
that room, I can hear you.
unprepared.
And I have the volume turned down on the audio for the TV, so we can't hear you through the VTC.
I mean, we still
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
bottom line. But as a respect they get for the hunters and fishing.
Bobby, could you do me a favor? Can you go down to the council chambers room and turn off that VTC? We'll get 2 screens to be bigger and we can see your screen.
So,
Yeah, I saw that.
county, what is it?
Someone outside of the company.
Yeah, but I don't know how. Obviously. My grandson.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I turned one off my screen, so she gets two big screens instead of Yeah, that's a ticket. So I see county building.
Better,
That's as big as we can make.
getting bigger. Okay, let's see this. Not really.
Oh, council room, right? All right, so if I put you back on speaker, folks in the mayor's office. Okay, I'm gonna put you back on speaker. Audio and then video. Wow, can you still hear me? Here's the mayor's conference room, can you hear me? Yes.
I know they want to hear.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was planning on.
All right, so this should do it for us.
Something can change.
Yeah.
I get young. I gotta-
Bobby, you're gonna have to completely power down.
I'm trying to hear.
Yeah. Here we go, thank you.
Yeah, when you get them, we'll lose them.
I don't know that I can make it any bigger. Let me see.
I'd say 3-4 years, I'm down.
So maybe like the pictures there, the map, and you'll have the.
Start back on again, Bobby.
The unfortunate thing about it is it's running fine here now.
I shoot one, this is
Oh,
about 120.
Because you're there, Bobby.
But I take my young dogs, not anymore. Before I shoot one, they go down to Cleveland. Shit, come on. I told that nobody.
Operating arrows.
Yeah, he was on the
Silent arrow.
Never no more.
It's all right, it's okay, let's move on already.
Call a rescue, put people in.
This is over. Sorry, guys. Trying.
Man, they got to move fast.
After we asked if they had any handouts and they said no, then the guy gave, the DLNR guy gave handouts. So, everybody want a handout?
Yeah. Dave Penn's, comments, what was that?
Can you guys pass this along?
Yes. Yes.
Two pages there? So,
You can get one stop as quick as
one more please.
That's what Dave Penn just said.
Bless you.
Here you go.
Tom, go ahead. Tom.
Tom, can you hear Bobby come in? Bobby, can you hear me? Tom?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bobby.
Okay.
But we can't hear Tom, guys. I don't think he hears you either. They're not responding. Reschedule.
Tony Trick will call in on his cell
Okay.
and let him know what's going on.
Yeah, they seem to have dropped the connection.
I knew that was gonna.
It didn't matter, Don, it didn't matter that I turned this off, yeah.
No, I think they dropped the phone connection on that side. You turned off the video portion, the audio was through the telephone.
Right.
I think he was working with.
No, pretty soon he said, I'm sorry, I have to close the building.
And that's why. Frank was saying, they're
What's the number for the mayor?
So Greg is the.
4444.
Okay, it's 4457, Bobby, for the actual room. Hang on, I'm gonna try to put them in.
I think you got caught in the middle.
Can you see them?
Yeah, I can see the screen perfectly fine.
All right, I'm gonna go
I
back
think you
on
got
that.
caught in the middle. Yeah, that's your question. Out there. They usually close this place up.
Okay, we're live. Are you there?
We are here in the Hilo Puna room, and Bobby's on his way up from the chambers, so I've got a one-way conference call between Puna and the mayor's office in West Hawaii.
Thank you. All right, so David, where were we?
Right now, we're at the Common Forest Reserve, talking about the Common Forest Reserve Access Project. What that involves is an agreement with the private landowner to go up this public access way that's on state land, that's under lease, cross over onto the private land, come up here to the Forest Reserve boundary, run across the bottom of the Forest Reserve boundary, through private land, then onto another state pasture lease area, and all the way out, and then to have a turnaround right around here before you hit the big gulch area, huge gorge area. So it involves an access agreement with this private landowner, which has been finalized on our side and approved by the Attorney General and sent to the private landowner. So as soon as we get back from them that the language in the agreement is okay, and then we submit that to the land board for the land board to approve the documentation of the access agreement. As it stands right now, it's a 20-year access agreement. That's what the landowner wants to try it out, see how it works, and go with that. As soon as that's done, the fence material has been ordered, and may even be on the way here now. So then all of this fencing and whatever, road building and everything can go forward. All the material has been bought. I think the folks in Kau are putting together the labor force through, a combination of efforts with Department of Land and Natural Resources, Nature Conservancy, hunters, who else? There's a few other parties that can all contribute labor, equipment, and all that to get it done. So that's kind of what has been called phase one. And then phase two is basically just finalizing the agreement with this lessee to realign the fence at the bottom here, so it would take a little bit out just at the top of the pasture lease area, and probably we're gonna have to survey that fence line to keep land division happy, so when they write that lease, they know that they can say, and the lease goes up to this, instead of the lease going all the way up to the state property boundary, the lease will go up to the fence line, which will be built slightly on the inside. And the material for that is part of the order, same thing. So it's basically just getting those two aspects of the paperwork done, one with the landowner and the land board, and one with our own land division and the land board, and then that can all get done.
So, the survey on that fence line, I kind of was under the understanding it was done already.
It was done, this part was all done, and this part was all done, but this part isn't done yet.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's another thing, I'll have to put together the work order and all of that and get it done.
Okay. If you're starting to go with the first phase already then?
As soon as the ink is dry, yeah, then they can go out there and move on to the next part, yeah. And that's just a couple of other views of it, but if that's a little view of the same thing, going up through here and all the way across to there.
The current access is that road line that you have there? Yeah.
Well, the current access is either up this way, right, up to the gorge and the waterfall, or up this way, up Mountain House Road, where you can't go all the way because there's the water supply gate up there. Yeah, so the idea is to have a pier all along the bottom of the forest reserve with a lot of other points to go up. There's a couple of like old roads that go up through here, four-wheel drive roads that may or may not be passable, but so that one I think is moving along. As long as we get the landowner to sign off on the agreement.
You guys talking to this guy? You guys have contact with this guy?
Not
Any-
really, but the-
any questions over there, Evo, Tony?
That's one of the
Lonnie?
things that we wanted.
Yeah, I have one. This is Tony. I still yet, we talked about it in our July meeting, that, I guess the July 2nd meeting from Na'alahele. And I'll read what they have. They had an issue regarding hunting access to the Gila Forest Reserve near Akaka Falls, was mentioned under council members' concerns. Apparently, the developer is working with DOFAW and the county to provide public hunting access and parking as part of the subdivision plan. I thought this was a good thing. We might already be involved. We weren't. And if not, this might be of interest. And then I have the tax map key. And talking with the county, they didn't know anything about it. I was wondering if anybody at DOFAR knows anything about.
The county should know about it because they might have.
Yeah, well, we talked about
Yeah,
that
wrong
earlier.
document,
You guys-
exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, maybe you guys didn't hear us on our end, but, yeah, I was informed about that from Na'alahele. I made inquiries to the county about it, I haven't heard anything back. So DOFA is aware of it, and we're watching the subdivision process. However, that is a county process, whatever the planning department and the planning commission is gonna do. That's their process, it's not our process, so we're available to pitch in and help and talk about what's going on at the Forest Reserve. And I think DOFA in the past has expressed a willingness to be able to help with creating and maintaining whatever access ways are acquired by the county through that process. But, as terms of what happens during the subdivision, that's the county process, and we can be there to help out, but we don't drive the process.
Okay, thank you.
I think we should ask for information on
From the county?
that. Yeah, I think.
Yes, that's
the
what gave me the information about this one we're talking about. Landed at the ELO office. I think we showed that before. We got the.
Hang on, guys, we got a couple questions coming out of Kona, you probably can't hear them. It's regarding Akaka Falls.
Yeah, this is the tax map plat of that. With the, it is 2810. That's two zoned and then there's a whole number of different parcels. Which one is it? Two, yeah. Zone 2, Section 8. Section 8. And
Down in front, down in front.
I don't have all that information yet. I sent an inquiry to the county planning department and I haven't received a reply.
Do you know how many lots you're subdividing into?
I believe.
Bobby's
Ordinance, it has to be 6 or more in order for the access requirement to carry. Yeah.
Yes, Tony.
Bobby, we need the help from your department. Thank you.
Okay.
Check out the rules
Well,
for the review process.
Everybody has to speak up.
I can get the information. I'm not exactly sure, there's less than 6 lots. If there's less than 6 lots, there's no requirement to provide public access. We still might be able to negotiate it, but there's no requirement.
Okay, so Bobby's on this one.
We still want to be informed of what's going
Other
on.
one here, there.
If they don't give us access, then I think we should make noise about it.
Bobby, how do we get involved in this issue with planning or whoever, who from the county is doing this?
It would have to be Larry Brown, and it would have to be a subdivision that's already taking place.
Can we be kept abreast of this though? I mean, if we're hearing Larry Brown's name, but we're not in the loop on anything.
Yes, you can. I can find out about that.
Thank you.
The road is already there, but it's the last parcel. If whatever's going on here at the end, I guess the forest reserve boundary, that's what the issue is. Right along there. I don't know, because if you look at the road saying right here, this, are they looking for? No. Okay, next. Okay, next one on the handout is the Keamoku area, dealing with Oahu training area and the military for some sort of longer-term agreement. I understand that there is hunting in there now on a irregular basis, depending on what the military wants to do. And that's another area that I have the background information from Jordan on it, but we haven't gone forward with any of that. So if anybody has any input on that, I'd be happy. Oahu is thinking about hiring a new warden type person, a new care type person, and also a game manager. So we didn't have a chance to really get into that with them today, but that's one of the plans that they have for the future. And so I have a question for Lisa regarding some of that too, as we get on this evening. Okay, and then the other areas in North Hilo Hamakua side that had previously been worked on. Here is one of the maps from Jordan that shows some of the priority areas, which included, I think, Kaibiki and Chinchuk, Kama'e'e, and also the Kaupakuea. So I'm going to talk about Chinchuk and Kaibiki haven't really gotten to yet. The other two would become more familiar with, and I can give you an update on those. So this is the Kaupakuea subdivision map. It shows the access that was acquired by the county. The access goes up through this subdivision, but does not touch the forest reserve. See over here where it says Hilo Forest Reserve? That's property owned by finance factors. So what we determined, and I met with the branch about this on Friday, I think the idea is to work with the landowner to sort of have the the stopping point for vehicular access down here. This will be staked out, right, either by the county or by us, or whatever we have to do to get it done and get it surveyed and get it marked out, because it's not marked out on the ground yet. And then, so from a parking area here, walk up. But what I have to do, and if anybody can help me with that, that's great. Talk to finance factors and talk about getting just one little footpath that goes from the end of their property line, and to get across the next lot over is park reserve. I think I have another lot of that. So here's the access way that was mapped out. This is what the county acquired through that subdivision process. This yellow line is where they went around looking for stuff, I guess, when they were out there in the field with Jordan. And so here's the forest reserve, here's finance factors, and the corner is just right there. So we need just a little pathway that goes across finance factors and into the forest reserve.
Work with finance. Okay, this is the one that I was talking about earlier. Jordan had got approval from the county already. Remember we had asked to have the surveyors go and stake it out, and it was, yeah, no problem, but Jordan left it, we never got on it. So I guess that was my question for this one. Tony is interested in this one too, which is, can we at least maybe try and start working on getting that surveyed again, so that we can get that thing over in with the county, that surveyor and stuff like that. Right, Tony?
That would probably be our top priority at this point, right? Because it's pretty much low hanging fruit. The only thing is, I think you would need to get that corner there otherwise it's always been more money. Let me know. I will.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Sorry? I don't, but I can dig it up for you later. I have the tax maps in my computer, but it'll take a little time to dig for it right now. Okay, and then the next one, going backwards, was on the AA Road, which is this one here. And although if you see this, goes out into Gila Forest Reserve, 1,500 acres or so. The blue line is where Jordan guys drove when they did this field survey. The orange line is where the Homestead Road is lined out on the map. And apparently the Homestead Road ends right about here, even though it was originally laid out to go all the way up through here to the Forest Reserve. But there are, in these lots here, basically there's lot gates right here where the blue line is. And there are existing private access ways that go through these parcels for their own private access. So if we want to continue to pursue this one, either see if we can negotiate agreements with these landowners to use their existing roadways that they hold privately, or to see if it's feasible to actually make, this is just a road on paper right now, right? But it was laid out, it should be within the state's rights to make that road within that right of way, if it's doable. And whether what the ground looks like there and whether it could actually be done, or whether it's just a line that somebody drew on the map because there had to be a road there, that's what we're up against at this point. Yeah, so that would be, depending on the willingness of the landowners, it might be easy, but if not, then it would be a longer term process. Get that one done.
I have a question. This is Ike.
Go ahead, Ike.
As it relates to these old, what they call government roads, and they were to access the old homesteads, isn't there, I would like to get clarification on what the responsibilities or obligations of the state or county are to these properties. Because my understanding of the Homestead Acts is that access to the homesteads would be provided by, you know, whatever governmental institution is in power at that point. Now,
This is Bobby Command.
yeah, I know, Bobby, we had this conversation
Right.
before, and, you know, we have asked this question a number of times.
And I'm giving you the same answer over and over, right? The county and the state don't claim roads in limbo.
But then who's responsible to the homesteaders who have property rights? And then as it relates to the, you know, I hate to be going back, but as it relates to the area, what was that area you talked about? Kill? The one of Cavite?
About Pepperkill side.
Yeah. What's the name of that?
Alpha,
Kalpakuea.
yeah.
Yeah, we asked, you know, we asked you, Bobby, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but we asked you to follow up on the letter to the mayor that we had drafted. And so, you know, I thought that letter had been,
Well, let's back up a little bit. The project originally was to survey the road, to find the center line, and then to work on some sort of deal with Jordan at the time to go ahead and, I guess, clear the road or not, well, just at least make a trail or something like that. That was pretty much set up. Jordan left, and the surveyor wasn't going to wait, and so now what we have to do is either schedule another time when the surveyor can do it, or find some funds in order to survey it ourselves.
my recollection was that the GMEC had drafted this letter to the mayor, asking the mayor for help and assistance on this matter. And so,
Right, and like I
and
said,
we wanted disposition on that.
the offer is still open, but we have one surveyor in the county. And there's a long, waiting list on that. We might be able to move up on the list depending on a number of things, but we need to coordinate that first. I mean, you guys go ahead and do it, but then if we're not ready to do it, we're gonna lose the opportunity again.
Yeah, Bobby,
So I can work with David to figure out some time or some window of time where we can go ahead and try and reschedule that.
I think it is in order, Bobby, for you or the mayor to let the GMEC know about that. Because a letter was sent from the GMEC to the mayor. And, you know, we're kind of waiting on the response on that.
Okay.
So perhaps if you can ask the mayor or whoever to draft a letter that, you know, officially tells us what's going to happen, that might help us. Thank you.
One more thing on that property, so now this access portion that we're talking about, the road ends, and someone's lot, I thought it was a lady, she provided a footpath access through that property. That's not Finance Factors. Finance Factors is up at the very corner, right along the State Forest Reserve property. So you're saying now that we have to get access through Finance Factor, that corner there?
Yeah, can you guys see the map?
No, not really.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been there, I walked all the way up over there, and I've been through the forest in that area.
Right.
So I'm trying to say is that there's a small overlap. Finance Factors doesn't come all the way down to, I think that's Santos property on the corner there. There was an opening between the two properties.
So look at it this way, there's a T or four corners. The trail goes up to the lower right-hand part of the T, but doesn't meet the upper left-hand part of the T, which is where we want to get. There's how much space is that between the?
Well, in a way, it doesn't matter because you can't, unless you jump in the air over this corner right here, you can't get there without trespassing on somebody's
So
property.
Tony, the way the easement is on this map is that the easement does not touch the forest reserve.
Right, and the property over which the easement was granted only touches the forest reserve at that one corner point. Yeah,
It's 4 corners.
yeah.
So, if this is accurate, then anybody that walks up that easement has got to step on finance factor's land to get into the forest reserve.
Or Santos.
Or Santos land. We need to either talk to Santos, but the easement
So we
doesn't
want
touch
to do a
Santos.
survey.
Yes.
So, I mean, we got to talk to finance factors. I mean, if you're a lawyer looking at this, we're in trouble.
That's why we wanted it surveyed though. See, if we had it surveyed to that point, then we actually know exactly, and then we could move forward with going to finance factors and seeing what we can do.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point. Yeah.
And that's what we requested.
Tony, what I would say is that you would need a memorandum of understanding or a memorandum of agreement with finance factors saying that they will work with us in order to make this happen. Otherwise, if they say no, then it makes no sense to survey this because we will not be able to access the property.
The description of the easement does read about touching the forest reserve boundary, right, the words, but when you map out the meets and bounds, it comes out differently, so if it actually did touch Santos back corner, then maybe,
Okay, thank you.
So somebody who is in the official capacity of the county, could they follow up? Somebody in your operation, Bobby?
But, didn't Tom say he was gonna, Tom says, or bring it
I'll
up?
talk to finance more.
All we need is a memorandum of understanding saying that they'll work with us to provide some sort of access to the state reserve. If they're willing to do that, then.
I'll get the tax map, and I'll work it good from the morning.
Okay. So Tom will make the initial contact.
I'll call in the morning.
Guys, okay? Any more questions? We move on.
Yeah, moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on, we talked about Kahu Forest Reserve, at least the current phases of that. Next thing on the list was Kipuka Idaho license agreement with Department of Hawaiian Homelands. That has been found by me, the current agreement language, and I discussed it with the Attorney General. So we're now in the process of deciding how to respond to the language that Hawaiian Home sent us and respond back to them. And what was the term of this lease that you guys were looking at? It used to be 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
So,
It expired 2 years ago, right?
so what's happening now? So, in terms of the state leasing Kipuka Idaho, is it month to month? Is it
That's what I understand, yeah.
So right now we're on month-to-month lease with DHHL.
Month, revocable permit or whatever.
Got it.
I'm not sure exactly what the vehicle is called. So it's month to month, and it appears to be working as far as being able to continue hunting in there. But we don't want it to go on like that forever.
Right. So it's at risk. It's at risk. Right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, DHHL at the end of the month can say, well, we're done.
Yeah,
Right? A 20-year lease, that's a little harder to do.
right. So that's the objective, is to nail that down, I guess. I think it more depends on Hawaiian Homes than on us. I mean, it's something that we want and something that the board approved. But then it still also has to be approved by Hawaiian Homes Commission and their side, so.
But there is a contract right now in front of us.
I have a question. This is Ike again.
Bobby,
Okay,
far away.
as it relates to that people buying a whole license agreement, the statement is that they are revising a standard license agreement received from DHHL.
Yes.
So what is the revision that is being contemplated, or can you tell us?
Well, the proposed agreement that Hawaiian Homes sent to us was in the form of the agreements that they make with private parties. So there's terminology in there about indemnification and liability that typically the state doesn't enter into that when we enter into agreement. So that's the challenge right now, is to make it into the form of a government-to-government agreement rather than a government and private party agreement.
And
That was the template that we received.
And just for clarification, and I think somebody asked this question, but I did not get the answer. Are you guys still staying with the month-to-month, or are you asking for a longer-term lease?
No, we want to renew for another 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this is Kalani, I get one. Same thing with these Hawaiian Homes. If you guys working on this one, how about the access to Hawaiian Homes to the Pionoa area? I mean, since you still negotiating already, that's also Hawaiian Homes. And the public need access to that forest reserve also.
Well, and actually, as I'm going through the portfolio here, there's a lot of places where we have relationships with Hawaiian Homes statewide. For instance, one of them that I'm working on for Kauai is the Kekaha Game Management Area. That's the same thing. The license is going to be expiring in a couple of years, and we want to renew it for another term. So that's something that we have to work out as we get deeper in there with Hawaiian Homes. Do we want to take one at a time and get them off the plate? Or do we want to take sort of a bigger global approach to everything that we do with Hawaiian Homes and hammer it all out at a higher level as opposed to going piece by piece? So I'm not entirely familiar with the one that you're talking about, but if you get me the information, then I'll at least start looking at it and we can go from there.
Okay, thank you.
What's the contract say? What we want to know is something like that.
Yeah, right. So well, to me, the old agreement looked pretty good, but once the attorneys got a hold of it, then I got back something different. So that's, yes. Well, that was an agreement that Hawaiian Homes made with us 20 years ago. And apparently things have changed since then. I mean, there has been some controversy about how Hawaiian Homes manages their land and does their leasing and so on. So, that's all I can say about it for right now. I've looked at the old agreement. It looks like it would be great if we could use that, but that's something that we still have to have more discussion about with Hawaiian Homes.
Hey, Tom, can we move forward with this? We're going to be running out of time, and we have to do Lisa still yet, please.
That's correct, I got it. Okay.
Okay, so there was two more items on my handout. One was about meetings with Kamehameha schools. The meeting for the Hilo Hamaku asylum Kamehameha schools that Jordan had tried to set up never happened. So that's still something for me to get back into. Nothing else to report on that. And then on the other Hawaii County projects that are listed there, that's kind of 4 of the loose ends that I've been trying to tie up for the wildlife program on different grants for different kinds of acquisitions. The one that seems to be the most interesting from a hunting perspective is the Kukai'ao Ranch. And so that's an acquisition that has been funded from a variety of sources. It's still in negotiation with the landowner to see whether we'll be able to close the deal or not.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, David. Don't mean to rush you off, but Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a plan to catch them. Is Lisa there?
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Lisa, thank you. I have basically one major question for you, and that is the status of our game rules and regulations that have been out there since 2008.
Okay, so I assume this is kind of item number 2 on the discussion items.
Yeah, it's a little bit out of order there, but yes.
Okay, so at this point, the rules have been through the AG's office. They had some questions to staff. Staff has reviewed them. And the plan at this point is to get back in touch with all of the people that submitted comments, and we have their contact information. We're going to email them the version that we have. We're also going to post it on the website for the month of September. As Scott Fretz had indicated, we would give folks like time to review them because they're so big. And then ideally, we take them to the first board meeting in October.
All right. And is it liable to be approved in October?
Pardon?
Is it liable to be approved by October?
You know, it's going to be before the board for a vote. It'll be a board submittal from our division.
Okay. Now, you said those that submitted comments, you're going to be sending questions on those comments back to those that submitted comments?
What we're going to be doing is, as I understand it, there's a really large contact list, and that entire contact list will get either the link to where the rules are posted.
I see.
So we just wanted to be sure that we weren't just putting it on the website, but that we were actually trying to contact the people that had submitted comments with their contact information. So that's the plan. John Vetter is going to be helping facilitate that. As David mentioned, the Marie Morin, who had started as the program manager in January 2014, resigned. And so we're covering this with existing staff. And we're looking forward to the new game biologist in the admin office coming in at the beginning of October.
Okay, one last question from me anyway. If this thing is approved by the board, let's say in October or November, how is this going to affect the current hunting rules that we have right now as far as tag fees, stamp fees, license fees, and what have you?
Right. You know, that's a really good question, Tom, and I'm gonna have to make sure that I know what it means, whether it will mean that from that date forward, from the approval process, when the tag fees and those kinds of things will go into place. And I'll look into that answer for you. I don't have it right now. It's a good question.
I appreciate that. And one last thing. If any animals were released from Oahu, would they be available to be moved into or pushed into Waterloo?
If you're familiar with the situation we had when we moved some animals in,
Yeah, that was great.
when was that? About a year and a. At this point, it would take more planning, etc., to get that all in order.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take up this meeting for that, but would it be possible to get together with you sometime and talk to you about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything for Lisa? No, any you guys got anything for Lisa? No? Okay, Lisa, thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce 4 other of our guests that we have here from the police department. We have Captain Miriam, we have a community policing officer, I believe his name is Officer Pat Moore, of Hamakua, and Lieutenant Mahuna. We had some questions, and my vice president here had some questions on access, trespass, and what can we do, in trespassing and poaching, and what have you, and, I know many of us also have questions, that we have, so, I'm gonna open this up to, Captain Gurian and the other officers that are there, if they have any opening statements or anything they'd like to, contribute about trespassing and how we can contact them.
This is Captain Murray. I would take each case as it stands, one by one. If there's particular things that you folks are worried about, whatever district you live in or whatever district this concern is taking place with, go ahead and give us a call. You can always call dispatch and they can have an officer respond. It's not always going to be, the captain or the lieutenant or the CP, community policing officer responding. But, if it's something that requires a little bit more research or thought into it, definitely, we'll get involved somehow or we'll assign somebody. We'll make sure that it's, whatever concerns you folks have, it's satisfied. I'm not sure what specific issues you folks are concerned about. I don't know how you folks are as far as time, but I think the best thing is, if you folks have things that you're curious about, let us know on a case-by-case basis, one-on-one, and we can address that. We'd be glad to answer questions, but that's basically what I have. Lieutenant Mahmoud or Jody, have anything? But I think that's how we all look at it. It's hard to cover blanket things sometimes. It's good to be able to sit down with folks and find out, okay, what are the specifics as far as what has happened, what's going on? Is this something we have jurisdiction on? Is this something we have to get other people involved in?
Thank you. This is Willie Joe. I guess I've been having a couple of the ranchers and other private property owners approach me, and I had one a couple weeks ago come over and just ask, I guess there's some confusion, I guess you can say, of what can be done to these people if they are caught in private properties. It's kind of the notion that it's just a slap on the wrist and a $25 trespass fine, and especially for the ranchers. I mean, a wean calf, they're close to $1,000 for a wean calf right now, and it's not really the concern about these guys catching the pigs per se. It's the worry that the dogs might get a calf and everything, and that's close to $1,000 out of this guy's pocket. And the concern is that they'll lose out $1,000, but even if they catch the guys, what happens to these people? Because in the past, it just seems like nobody really gets prosecuted. So I guess the question is, who is really responsible for that? Is it a dog care obligation? Is it county police obligation? That's basically what the questions that I've been receiving have been coming from.
We also have James Raleigh here, but we can address that as far as county side. If it's private property, or if it's something, a leased property that you have the right to, then how we'd address it is whatever crime that basically can be proven, which trespass is usually the easiest one. What we look at, I guess, as policemen is, making the most effective criminal case that we can. We can say, okay, this guy was on here to, to take one of my calves, or, something happened. We have to be able to prove that, or, the evidence that we gather has to prove that. So, obviously trespassing is easy, that's where we start, but if there's more information that can be gathered through investigation, we'll run with that. If it turns out to be something as far as theft-wise of agricultural products, then definitely, we'll pursue that. But that's with private landowners. I don't know, what DLNR has. But, we try and work together. If it's not something in our jurisdiction, we'll reach out to them. Myself and Officer Passmore were talking a little while ago about, things happening in Waipio Valley. Obviously, we have more personnel spread out around the island, so we're gonna be usually the first point of contact. But if it involves something with DLNR, then at least we can reach out to them and, work together somehow. But yeah, I understand what you mean. Trespass is it's either a violation or a petty misdemeanor, which is basically, no jail time, essentially, or if any, just very small amount. But we have to go with what we can prove. So the best thing I think is, if people are on the land, we've issued them trespass notices if the landowner is uncomfortable with them. But hopefully, I don't know where the group is right now, but, my thing is trying to work together. I hear you guys talking about access and things like that. And I understand the ranchers' concerns as far as, hey, they got a lot of money tied up in there. That's their business, that's their livelihood. And somebody going through, the potential of, them costing them money is a concern. But, on the hunter side, hey, they want to be able to have access. So the best thing I think is, if they can kind of communicate, get together with the landowners and, come to some kind of meeting in the mind, some kind of agreement. And, that's something that, doesn't necessarily involve the police, but, that communication is important because, the hunters, folks who hunt want to be out there, they want to do that, and I understand that. Landowners want to, protect their privacy and their property rights.
Right. Excuse me, sir, this is Tom Lodge. Does the property have to be posted no trespassing for this to stick, basically?
Yes, it does make it a more effective case, and the statute, I think, for certain trespass does require that, for some requires that fence be up, for some it requires signage. So yes, it's always better to have that.
Very good. No, thank you. Do you have a question on the detaining, Mark?
So, this is Mark. Let's say you're at 6,000 feet on Mauna Loa, right, and you've got leased property. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15,000 acres from Kamehameha schools. And access up there is difficult, to say the least, right?
Yes.
And you have poaching problems, right? You've got people who are climbing fences, entering illegally, and shooting whatever they want to shoot. I mean, now I'm just trying to be realistic, right? So, I mean, if I call police, one, it's going to take me 4 hours to get up there. I mean, so what do I do about something like that?
Okay, this is one of the things I alluded to in the beginning of the meeting. It's probably better if that's you, an actual situation, and you're that property owner you're talking about, then you come and you sit down with whatever, district police office is going to be responding, and you figure out something. You sit down and give us a call. We can talk. We can make some suggestions. Obviously, a lot of us have cell phones. That's a good tool. But like you said, you're alone out there. You don't know what's going to happen. You've got to use your best judgment. And there's a number of factors that go into that. So I would say the best thing is to sit down, talk with whatever like I said, district office is closest, and maybe you folks can go up, take a look, and they can make some suggestions for you as far as specifics, and I would go from there.
No citizens arrest.
Citizens arrest?
Well,
No, when I'm hunting, I'm packing, right? So, I mean...
I understand, and our biggest thing is protection of life, property. Well, that goes further down the scale. So if something happens and you're saying, well, I was protecting my property and I used deadly force, that's probably going to put you in a worse position than the person who was trespassing on your land. So again, that's something that I would sit down, there's not a black and white, but you need to understand a little bit more about the law and be comfortable with that and knowing that, hey, you know, I understand you're frustrated, you know, people taking things, but that doesn't add up to deadly force. And, you know, what you're talking about with packing and things like that, those situations can quickly get out of hand, and that's not what we want to see. So, you know, that's something, like I said, it's better as a one-on-one, sitting down, or, you know, you know, versus having this in a large meeting, because a lot of what-ifs can come out of this, and it's
So
just,
what if I put up cameras and caught the guys?
okay, that's good. That's one of the suggestions that would probably be made. And, you know, you folks can look at, hey, what kind of pathways, where to place things, and just kind of go trial and error. But again, that's working with the police in that area, you know, see what you get, but that's an excellent idea. You know, I talked about the cell phone, you're not always gonna be there, and we've had people who have posted, you know, those hunting cameras. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but yeah, that's one of the things that we do recommend.
I have a question, this is Tony. What happens if that animal is a pet? Because we're only talking about game animals, but I had a pet pig back in 2000, and I had people come on my property and shoot it, and we had 2 eyewitnesses, and it still wasn't enough. And for me, it was more that it was a pet. It was a wild pig, but I had it from a small pig, and it was a family pet. And so, you know, I mean, to me, that's a little more connection to just going out there and somebody killing a wild animal or whatever.
Yeah, and
They got treated like it was just a wild animal, so there's nothing that came of it.
And to that circumstance, you know, I would have to look at what, you know, whatever happened with that, but, you know, we'll investigate, and whatever can be proven, again, you know, we look.
Well, and they discharged the firearm in a residential community,
Yeah.
so I thought they would at
those
least
things
gone
like
after that, and
Yeah.
the police didn't do that. They went up to the sergeant, and the sergeant just said, you don't want to pursue this.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop that, you know, let that stop you from calling. You know, that's, to me, that's one of the things I'd like to emphasize here, is that, you know, if you folks have concerns, at least let us, you know, let us know. Give us a call, dispatch, if it's an emergency, 911, and, you know, we'll respond. If you folks are not satisfied with that, then you can always, you know, like, obviously the sergeant was contacted in your case. You know, I can't speak to that specifically because I don't know the background of that, but, you know, it seems like you have a good point. You know, discharging a firearm in a residential area is a crime, but again, it depends, you know, how far the nearest house is, things like that. So, but please, you know, if I can leave you with something, I hate to have people, you know, store things up and it's like, the police didn't do anything, or, you know, like your experience. It's like, don't let that stop you from calling and asking for assistance and, you know, finding out, hey, you know, what are my options here? What can I do? And, you know, we're available 24/7. You know, we're out there, and that's our job. And, you know, we're not always going to satisfy folks. I know that already. But, you know, we will try. And you do have a recourse. You know, you can ask, you know, if you're not satisfied with maybe what the officer told you, hey, you know, just politely ask, you know, is there a number I can contact your supervisor at? You know, there may not be one on duty at that time, but, you know, we will give you folks a call back and let you know. And like I said, you know, we try our best to at least, you know, do what we can, and, you know, we're bound by the laws, but, you know, we'll try to help you understand as far as, hey, this is why we do this. It's not a problem asking a question, you know, hey, you know, what's going on with this? Again, it's not always like TV, but it doesn't hurt to ask, hey, you know, is there something you can do? You know, things like you talked about cameras. You know, those are things that, you know, we want to, you know, use what resources we have, but sometimes we're restricted by certain things in certain situations.
Captain, this is Bobby Command. One very quick question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but only the owner or his agent can swear out a complaint regarding trespassing on property.
Yeah, that can't be handed over to the police. You know, a lot of people say, you know, call us and say, hey, you know, go serve this guy a trespass notice. What our function is at that point is to stand by to make sure, I basically say that things don't get out of hand. But yes, the property owner or the person who has right to that property has to be the one to actually say, hey, you are no longer welcome on this property, or to say to the police, yes, I do want to make a formal complaint. And, at that point, we can do, we'll continue on with the investigation. But yes, it can't be the police, it has to be the property owner stepping forward.
So if you're a leasee, then you have that right.
Yes, and if you have the authority for that property, yes, you do have the right to do that.
So a general question, I mean, how many calls are you guys taking about poachers? Is it 0.1%, or is it 5%, or is it,
I really can't answer that in Hamakua. I'm the Hamakua and North Hilo District Captain. And we have Lieutenant Mohuna. I don't know if Jody wants to address that, but from my experience, I don't get day-to-day calls, so it's really not that much. But let me hand that over to Jody.
Jody Passmore. I've been CP for 1 year and 3 months in Hamakua District. I've had 1 call in 1 year and 3 months of poachers. It was after the fact. People didn't know who cut the fence. They assumed they came in and hunted. I worked with Bill Stormont a lot with American Forest Management. When we see vehicles on their property, we don't know if they're hunting or not. When he calls in, we send a trespass. He sends a trespass notice via mail by the registered owner. We have received very few calls in the last 1 year and 3 months since I've been out there. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying we have received very few calls. So if we don't know what's happening, we can't do anything about it.
Right, and this is Willie Joe again, and I guess that's why I asked to have you guys come. It's just to, I guess, reiterate that, because the thought process with a lot of the owners is that nothing's going to happen, so why even call? So I mean that's a good part of why we had you guys come out tonight, and thank you for coming and explaining that. Hopefully we can get that message out to more people.
Yeah.
Get you more calls. Yeah, get you more calls.
And that's not a problem. I understand what you mean. It's like some places it's like 4 hours, but that's where I would take the initiative, sit down with contact the whatever district your place lies in, and talk to the office there, whether it's the captain, lieutenant, whatever, the CP officer, so that they know, hey, here's what the problems are, and let's try this. Maybe not so you don't have to call every day, but at least you know that, hey, it's being documented somehow, and something is being done. So, like I said, if it's in that remote kind of area, then I would suggest reaching out to us first, and having a sit down and trying to come up with some ideas.
So we have a dog care officer in Hilo as well, correct?
Yes, okay, brother.
I mean, so the same question for that individual. I believe his name is James. Yeah. I mean, is dog care getting a lot of calls on poaching, or any calls on poaching?
The Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement does not respond to calls of trespassing on private land.
So
Our main focus is on state land,
state land.
on the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
Got it. Understood. Thank you very much.
Do you guys have a list of contacts for each station or something, so that people don't have to call 911 just to get a meeting or?
I'm sorry, I missed most of that. I'm sorry.
Station numbers.
Say, if you call the station, you're very unsuccessful unless it's during business hours. Your best bet is, if it's not an emergency, is to call the 935-3311. They'll connect you with Central Dispatch, and they'll put you in touch with the right person. whatever district it is, it's just island-wide, the 935-3311 number. Obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911, but
See, this is gonna, I want to add to that. This, on my side, what it is the hunters are getting frustrated because they're getting blamed for something that is actually not them. They actually work with the ranchers. But it's like, if the ranchers catch rustlers just totally straight out for the cattle, right? Then it becomes a retaliation. And then the hunters get blamed for it, whether it's cut off fence, you know, and that's stuff that no one they're doing, you know, on our end. It's literally not.
Clarification. A hunter is somebody who hunts legally.
Yeah,
Vultures.
but that's what I mean. But every time when we can clarify, we look at hunters as a broad perspective. So we deem the unfit person. And that's what we have to actually shine a light that there is a difference when you say hunter.
well, and we, like the captain said earlier, we take it by case basis. I don't say any hunter's bad, I don't say any rancher's bad. We just go out case by case basis, and whatever it falls, wherever the chips fall, that's what we deal with on that particular day.
Yeah. So it's like we try to work hand in hand with the ranchers, but they just, it's not the cattle, it's just the overall expense of repairing everything that gets done to the property. And we getting fed up as hunters that work with the ranchers, that these ones that are not educated or licensed or what have you, is the broad question, you know, the broad part of what's going on right here, and that's why we're going to join in.
And that's why the captain said the landowners need to come to us and sit down with us. Because a lot of times, people are going onto their property during full moon every time. Or the rustlers, illegal poachers, whatever it may be. And if we can set a timeline, then we can set something up. That particular officer that's working in that district can set something up so maybe we can catch this person. But if we don't know about it or it's not being reported, then there's really nothing we can do about it.
You're right, there's some hunters, then there are the poachers that come by, and that gives you guys a bad name. And one of the things that I wanna see, if a calf costs $1,000, let's raise the, when hunter get caught, when poacher get caught, raise them up to $1,000 or something on first fine. And if we get caught second time, raise them up $2,500.
Okay, you know,
This cannot go on already.
Yeah. I don't want this to turn into a free-for-all, yeah? So when we call your name, hopefully we get into the public testimony pretty soon, then you can make statements. Right now is the time for the board members to ask questions of the officers.
One more from Kona. One more for Docare. So recognize that private land is off the plate, right? It's public land. How many cases per year of poaching does Docare prosecute?
If you give me a name and number, I'll call you back. I'm not prepared for, but we have a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
On state land.
On state land poaching.
We catch vultures, no hunting license, firearms in no firearm area, that's a lot of them.
James, so much. I've got a question on that. You know, in the wildlife revolving fund, it talks about money that's supposed to be coming in for penalties and fees and stuff like this from Docare, I'm assuming anyway, on the wildlife revolving fund. Do you know because I was in court one day when the judge gave this guy a $10 fine for a minimum $25 fee, or fine that he's supposed to have had, $10 for the class. Do you know if that's happening a lot?
Tom, this is Lisa. I can look into the wildlife revolving income, but I don't believe fines and fees are very significant at all. And then they're actually also, I believe, potentially subject, any income we have to give 20% to OHA as well. So I'll look into that income, but, I don't think it's very substantial, but I just know that.
Yeah, well, no, it was 0 last year, that's why, the reason why I asked.
Okay, Mr. Honor, I got just one more question. So now, if DLNR is not responsible, right, for like private land roads and stuff, so say if it's a county road that leads it to an adjacent property that leads to a state parcel, so who actually has the authorization? You or you?
If it's a county road,
Yeah, subdivision is considered a county road.
being that we're the primary police department for the island, we basically have jurisdiction wherever. When it gets to state land, if we're called, okay, there's active hunting going on right now, we have to respond. But if it's something that's ongoing, then we try to pass, if it's on state land, we try to pass it off to them because we have a lot to take care of. Like I said, we're the primary police department.
So that's why you guys.
Yeah.
We're not a 24-hour agency, so like what you're saying is true. If you called at 11 o'clock tonight with a poaching problem, there's no dog care officer on duty. You call the police.
You'll call us and we'll
The proper what
respond.
happens, they'll respond, then they'll give us a call in the morning. And then we'll get together and decide what we're gonna do. An example could be like when Kulani Prison was up and running. Guys would go and trespass into Kulani Prison. So we used to wait on our land where they parked their vehicle. And when they came out over the berm to the vehicle, then we could inspect them because now they're in the forest reserve, hunting license. Did you check in, watershed permit or whatever it was. At that time, we could cite them for the hunting. But we couldn't do the trespassing. So the landowner, Kulani Prison, needed to make a complaint with the police department on the trespassing. Then if they shot pigs or they did any type of criminal property damage while they're on the Kulani Prison property, they would file criminal property damage to the police department, like any private landowner would do.
So again, it has to be the landowner.
Yeah.
In order to make that call.
They can make it like, let's say you have let's say there's you own 40 acres, your neighbor owns 40 acres. Your neighbors tells you, hey, I've been seeing trespassers, I'm gonna leave. I'm going to town, or I'm gonna be away on vacation, whatever, and you see them on there. There's nothing to say you can't call us. And we can go make contact with the people, we can get, and if they're on the land at that time, we can get their name, we can get all the information, and then when the landowner comes back, we can follow up with the case. It's not to say that you can't call. It's just we can't prosecute without the landowner. You have every right to call us to go make contact with the people. We just can't arrest them right then. We can't do anything like that unless we see a major violation, felon of firearms, whatever it may be. It's not to say that you can't call. It's just that we got to contact the landowner before we make a trespassing violation case.
I have one question for Bill Care, James. At the very least, you see somebody poaching in Kikuka, let's say, Kikuka or any state land. What is the very least that you would need in order to open up an investigation as far as information on that? Say you may know who the individual is, but you don't have his vehicle number or whatever. What would be the very least you would need in order to prosecute?
Vehicle license plate number, location of where the vehicle is parked, color of the vehicle, type of vehicle, day, time, whatever was observed, that would help us a lot. Because if it was a car parked on the road, Kipukainoho during an open hunting day, then the chances of us sending someone up there to go check wouldn't get a quick response compared to what was on a closed season, non-hunting day.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But we, just to finish, we've developed a lot of cases through hunters who do drive by and they notice something out of the ordinary, or it's just something that catches their eye, we encourage all hunters to give us a call, and then from there we can filter things out and see if a violation may be occurring or not. So we encourage anybody to give us a call, just like our partners in the police department.
I have a question. Public lands are,
Can we get closer?
oh, what are the definition of public lands?
The Department of Land and Natural Resources, DOCARE, under the Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement. So we're the law enforcement agency for the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So the lands that we are authorized to patrol and work hand in hand with the other divisions would be DOFAW lands, natural reserve areas, forest reserve areas, watershed areas, those types of properties within DOFAW, as well as your state parks, historic preservation, division of land management, water.
If these constitute public land, what constitutes trespassing?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask who's speaking? Is this a member of the public?
Hi guys,
Can you repeat your question?
what constitutes trespassing of a person on public land?
Mr. Chairman, we're getting kind of out of order at this point, and we have 27 people here who want to testify.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, can I have an answer? If a person walks into public land, is that trespassing?
Teresa, come back with that question when we open up for public testimony.
Okay, Tony.
I think we're going to be done here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for, no? All right, I want to thank, the officers, Captain Kurian, Officer Passmore, and Lieutenant Mahuna, for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. You've answered several of my questions for sure. And, James, Willard, thank you also for, helping us this evening. You have opened up other questions that I think that a couple of us will be getting back to you on there as well. We have two other things. We have public testimony, and I don't know how many people we have there that will be testifying on our agenda items this evening. If they do have agenda items, if there's 27 of you, we like to keep it short. In deference to others that are there for testimony, and we'd like to keep it short. It's 8:30 right now. Normally we'd be closing the meeting. As far as the minutes go, can we defer the minutes until our next meeting? Everybody here okay with that?
I make a motion to defer the minutes till our next meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we'll defer the minutes until next meeting. Okay, anybody who has testimony, keep it short. Let me know your full name, what agenda item that you're testifying on, and keep it in order. So we'll just open up for testimony at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I would request that since we have so many people here and we don't have air, that we start with Hilo.
That's fine?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. First testifier would be Polycapo Devin, speaking on, if you can come forward and identify what item number you're talking about. What agenda item?
Dave Penn. Polycapo Devin, where I gotta look, you guys. I wanted to talk to Dave Penn about this whole access issues about access to forestry lands. And what about the protection of resources in forestry lands? How do you address that? Or do science get to eradicate resources in
forestry lands, because you're dealing with the state, and it's no sense doing access if you got nothing to get when you get at the end of the trail, or on any trail. So I was just wondering what you do about protection of the resources and the native gathering rights to these practices and the resource protection of these practices.
Hey, Polycarpo, can I interject here for a second? That is basically a question that you should actually bring to the commission as an agenda item itself, so we can get the proper people to address that at a meeting. We're talking about access, well, you're talking about protection. And it would be better to have that as an agenda item separately. And, talk to us tomorrow, give me a call. We'll try and get it on the next agenda, which is going to be on the 15th, I believe, of next month.
So can I get a confirmation on being on the agenda on the issues I want to deal with? Because the commission members and the guest speakers, I think we're supposed to want to talk about the agenda item, but I like to discuss things with dog care and the police department. That's more or less on treatment about how we act as Native people here. So I think that's something I want to dialogue with or ask questions to. And it's not an agenda item, so how do I get?
It's not an agenda item for us tonight, but that question can be given to us as an agenda item. You may have specific questions, the police department or the dog care directly, actually, which you should address personally.
At this meeting right now?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Not in our meeting, you're not.
Okay.
Not the commission meeting.
So then,
But we can ask, I mean, they're on the agenda, and he wants to ask them a question about.
Okay, procedurally, if a board member wants to forward any testimonies, any testifier's question, the board member can do it. But it's not a time for testifiers to go and ask questions directly to any of the presenters. So if you want to forward that question to them.
What are they supposed to get testimony on?
No,
so I guess I get on the agenda, right? I gotta get on your agenda to address these, but will you have the same invites at this next meeting? They can address the questions I'd like to ask.
At the commission meeting.
Well, you can come directly to any police station and ask your questions. We're there 24 hours a day. I mean, if you got a question for the police department, please just come to the police department and ask, or call the 935-3311 number.
I represent an organization. I'd rather do it in the public. I'm a taxpayer, so I expect treatment where my tax dollars go to everybody at this government level. So I'd like to dialogue in public about the situation. So I think like anything else, you get things addressed when you're in front of people as witnesses of what you want to talk about. So being private doesn't really address the concerns that I have.
So that's your
thank you though, for the offer.
Mr. Devin, that's your request that to the chairman that be put on a future agenda.
Yeah, and to talk about forestry with the two same people that I see here tonight, if they're going to be invited back.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Devin?
I guess not. You guys not going to listen. Thank you.
No, I don't want to cut you off, but the next testifier is Terry Wakayaki.
Okay, I guess I have to go and verify whether the question I'm gonna ask, they're discussing access to Ka'u Forestry Reserve. Can I ask a question in that paragraph?
That would be you.
Okay? Oh, well, in this item.
Oh,
that,
you want to speak on to that item?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Would you mind answering your question? If I can answer it, sure.
But I think he was talking about the Ka'u fencing to Mr. Pan. So I'm gonna be doing the same thing.
No, that's okay. Any member of the public who wants to testify, even if somebody else raised the issue before, you can still testify as to that issue again too.
Okay, I'm gonna specifically talk about, this item issue that we have in the Ka'u Forest Reserve access. And with Jordan Jukio and his movement, he's no longer here, right? Am I right? Movement to have access with an access road I've never seen any testimony to public about the access that they have in the private road that Jordan Jakil has been working on, and with Olson's access, and the damage it could bring to the forest with that access. And the lawsuit, because we had a fencing lawsuit with Ka'u Forest Reserve, and we were never told about the access trail that they were, or road that they were putting in there, and that's what we're asking. I mean, are they still fencing with and having access even with our litigation suit?
So,
Mr. Chairman, do you want to entertain that question and have it answered by Lisa?
If Lisa can answer that question, that would be.
okay, as part of the management plan for the entire forest reserve, I know that access was discussed, and Steve may be able to chime in as well. So in the discussion, I think when you heard David say fencing, it was in reference to fencing that access corridor through the Olson Trust. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, it's fencing to keep basically animals from moving across the boundary between state land and the private land, to keep the cows out of the forest and the pigs out of the pasture, and also to discourage the hunters from going onto the private land and staying in the public land on the forest reserve side.
So this project is
The other people who are going up there.
very different location
An access
than
road.
the other fencing that you're, I think, referencing.
What the fencing is doing
And
is
my understanding is that most of the route that we're taking is basically existing roads that were put in by the plantation and that people generally had access to when the plantation was in control of the whole area. But since things have gotten broken up, and the pastures have gone in on both the state leases and on the private lands, that it's a different situation. So we're in a way trying to recreate that existed before, where there was more freedom to move along the bottom of the forest reserve boundary there.
Okay, my question in that light is, you're going through private property to fence with state monies, am I correct?
Let's see.
Why isn't the private
Actually, some of
owner
it is
paying for the
federal money
fencing,
that
and
was
why are
from,
we and our
US
taxpayers
Department of
paying for that
Agriculture.
fencing?
I think what the view was is that this was a public benefit by negotiating an agreement with a private landowner for additional access to a spot that was challenging and would have been trespass for folks to get to the forest. And so the concept was, with the public benefit, that it's acceptable to use public funds to try and garner access for the public to that forest reserve.
And the public to do what, hunting?
Hunting, gathering, hiking,
Even
bird
though
watching.
there's no pigs in there to hunt?
The whole lower section of the forest reserve is got, there's.
Can answer that, it's my
Yeah.
district.
Yes, I'd like you to answer that.
I know, Polly, you familiar. As from the 56 Gulch Road, Forest Line, straight across to Waibara from Mountain House, you come out to Makino Junction. Off Forest. See, what Osin did was, Forest Line here, put his fence here. So you know that road that used to come out to Waibara to Makino, he took that road. So Center Road, Mountain House, main Mountain House Road, you come down, you turn around, you go back down. 56, no can go, because he blocked all that, because the fence there like this. So what was requested was, this fence, and leave that road open to us. So you can come from Makino, go up Mountain House, come down Mountain House Center Road, or Main Road, come across, go across to Waibara, and come up Makino Junction.
How come all the roads wasn't grandfathered in?
That's why I was grumbling about this. So that's why all this litigation gotta go through all this. That we could have solved this from day one. That made sure, my question was, why did the landowner think he had ownership right up to a forest reserve. Was my question.
Well, he's part of the litigation suit. I read the whole entire litigation on Ka'u Forest Reserve Plan.
So what's the question?
You're partnershiping with Nature Conservancy, you're partnershiping with private owners, and they have all the say for that Ka'u fencing. And that's what I'm saying. So you have people that are making decisions for public that are private owners. And I just don't see the justice in that. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Next testifier, Bernie Gillis.
No, I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay, thank you. Next one on the list is James Weller, but I don't think you want to testify. Lisa Hadaway, I think you want to testify. Wayne Yoshina. Okay, Hofflinger.
He was here.
Richard Hofflinger. Not here. Dustin Warmer.
There we go. Okay, this question is for Officer Weller. You corrected Kalani earlier in an earlier conversation that a hunter is someone who hunts big game, and a poacher is the opposite of that. Can you explain to me and the rest of the guys here what exactly you mean by that? Because when I spoke to you a few months back regarding checking hunting licenses at Tree Planting opening day at the gate, your response to me was no, you're not gonna check because you don't wanna discourage anybody from hunting. Because if nobody hunts, you told me it could result in federal revocation. So, you added to that, but you will be in there on that opening day, and if you catch anybody coming out with meat that doesn't have a license, you're gonna cite them. So, does this mean you are promoting poaching to make a bust, or that you don't actually stand by your statement that you need to Kalani that a hunter is?
You asked me. Hold on. Mr. Chairman, do you want to entertain that question? Because it's a question directly to the officer, so.
But it's regarding poaching, and poaching was.
This is for statements, not for really for questions, unless the chairman entertains them. Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's a question. I don't, if the dog care officer is willing to address this, it's fine.
Why is Tom even having this meeting?
You asked me if we would be in there, yeah? And I told you we wouldn't be in there. Exactly. Because the gates are locked. There's no reason for an officer to be in there waiting for you walking in.
No, not in there. I asked you if you guys would be checking licenses at the gate. There's people lined up at the gate before the opening day, and I specifically asked you if you're gonna be there to check if anybody is hunting illegally.
We work there, and there's no reason for us to be there.
Right. And that's why you told me that you're not gonna be there to check, but you also told me that you guys will be in there throughout the day to make your check.
In other words, we'll be there when you least expect us.
Right.
We weren't gonna tell you what time the officers would be there, or what time we planned on being.
So why not,
We don't share.
my question to you is, why not stop it right there at the gate, where you can tell these guys to, you know what, you guys don't have a license here, you guys don't have a hunting license, you guys don't belong hunting, this is a public hunting area for someone who has a license, a legal hunter, right, not a poacher. So anybody in there without a license is considered a poacher at that gate, waiting to go hunt.
Correct.
Right. So my question to you is, why not stop it right there at the source? Or
We felt that it wasn't a need to stop people before they enter. It's a one-way in, well, two ways in, two ways out. So we could wait out at both ends. I have 7 officers that cover from La Hoi Hoi to Ka'u, Manukea, Manaloa, Puna. So they're all spread out. I don't have enough officers to make sure that we have officers there from the time hunting begins to when it becomes dark, or even later. I don't have enough officers. That's one of the reasons why I didn't give you an exact time when we would be there.
Okay. And also, as you testify, please address the chair, also with your name clearly, and what agenda item you're addressing.
Mr. Chairman, the next testifier is Stephen Arujo. Mr. Arujo is not stayed. Next testifier is Carrie Marks.
Hello, hi everybody. I have a general comment on the entire agenda, and it's entirely missing from the Laserfish system. I also have a comment on the entire support of all of the commissions. This is not the only commission to suffer because the room was too small and too hot, and the equipment didn't work, so the meeting started late, and people left and got disenfranchised. I do not take issue with the hunting commissioners at all, but the staff that is supporting the commissions needs to step it up a lot. None of these agendas are available on Laserfish until after the meeting. For tonight's meeting, there was some confusion about whether we were to meet in this room, the Puna Conference Room, or the Apuni Conference Center. It was never posted in a public place other than the bulletin board outside this building for anybody to check on. So, I am requesting Bobby Command to make sure that the staff make sure that all minutes, agendas, and any other pertinent documents are posted in a public place so that the public has access to them. That is all. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Richard Onishi. Next one is Steve Bergfeld.
No, I thought I was just signing in.
Okay. Next one is Gary Thomas or Thomas.
Thomas, I'm no testament.
Next one is Stan Botello.
Yes, my name is Stan Botello. I'm a rancher down the Waco area. And I got a lot of problems with poachers, and some of them call themselves hunters, but catching them is a real problem. You know, you gotta just about sleep out there for catch them. And when you get caught, just a slap on the wrist and they're out and they're right back doing it again. So my question to the board is, if there's any way that we can raise the fees on them, should they get caught? Or even if the hunters see some other poachers around there, please report them to the police officers and help the rancher out, because in this day and time, sometimes I feel like I'm going backwards instead of going forward raising cows. And I could use some help. Any kind of help. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. No, that is something we will address, actually.
Thanks, Stan.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you.
Ryan Kohatsu.
Yeah, name Ryan Fox of Hawaii. This is a question mainly for Nokia Officer Weller. Thank you for coming here. And you know, I appreciate what Nokia has done with their limited funding. Although you guys get more officers, sometimes you don't get a budget for those officers. So I appreciate what you're trying to do there. But what I was getting at, my question, last question, comment would be, based on the Pittman Robinson projects out there, there's only a few places that are designated for game production, mammal game production on this island. Maybe everybody else doesn't study it, but there's only really two places, Puawa, one of them, I don't know the other ones. And really everywhere else is slated for, if you could eradicate it tomorrow, you would probably do that if you had the funding. So we have these two places that are for game production. We can do some kind of management there. I was hoping that there would be some kind of emphasis on watching these areas as far as enforcement standpoint goes. We all know that people cross over from Honolulu to Puawa to poach. It's very easy to catch them on a trail cam or something like that. We all know that the ranchers do it themselves. They bring their friends. I actually know some people that do this on a personal note. So I just was wondering, it's been going on for years, and everyone knows it. You see it on the internet, you see it in pictures, it's pretty blatant. What does it take to deter? Well, I think deterring would be most important, would be maybe reporting the violations, people and stuff. I mean, they do it on the mainland. They put these big things out with who violated what and this and that. Maybe it's not in the budget for Don't Care Now, but that might be something in the future. And also, what's it take to stop these folks that are doing it now? I mean, with the evidence that we already have.
Mr. Hawkins, is that a statement or a question?
Statement, I guess. He can answer if he wants to.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to have Officer Willard entertain that question?
Yes, actually, I would.
The area you're talking about is in West Hawaii.
Yeah, no, it's not yours. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't speak much about what information you're talking about, right? I'm not privy to it, but if there's information of people poaching, and you know that, I suggest you talk to the dog care guys in Kona.
Yeah.
And see how they can help you. As far as the Pittman Robertson stuff, you'd have to speak to DOFAW.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that.
I know, yeah, they know it. The game production maps in the back, yeah, they know it.
So we, with the manpower that we have on the east side, we plan our patrols. And so you may not see us up at the mountain maybe for a week, or you might see us every day. We try and rotate things around. With the crew that I have, I think we're doing the best that we can.
Oh, I think it's the way it is.
But we still need look for help from the public. Right?
Is there let me just follow up real quick. You know, it was kind of all over the internet, that guy holding the sea turtle.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
What's it take to these people that are illegally doing this? What's it take to stop that?
Kind of like what the captain said.
Yeah.
You know, we had, even though that it was, I don't know much about the case.
Yeah.
But from what I'm assuming, on the internet, you have to be careful what you see. Because supposedly, and it's not official, I think, and this was what I heard down the grapevine of people's speaking, that picture was taken in Micronesia was legal to take. But see, they posted it. But people have given us information on people posing with turtles. And we followed through with that. And we've had cases from the police department when they do search warrant on homes for whatever law enforcement aspect that they need to do. They come across stuffed turtles or turtle shells, they'll call us. And then we'll go and follow up with that. So, and again, if the public sees, give us a call, because we were always looking for that kind of stuff. But yeah, that one, I believe it was taken in Micronesia.
Thank you. Stephen Hurt? Steve Hurt?
Answered.
Okay, thank you. Paul Griffith?
Yes. My first question is to David Penn. For Mr. Penn, are you available?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Mr. Penn, you talked about making new hunting areas. Good to go.
Mr. Chairman, are you gonna pass along the question to Mr. Penn?
Yeah.
Mr. Penn, we have more than enough lands that have been taken and fenced and eradicated that they left dead and dormant. We can use those lands. These lands need to be reassessed, Mr. Penn, fence it correctly with a game management plan before ever considering taking or looking at more lands to hunt. By doing that, we wouldn't have to be looking at taking more lands. Those lands that are left dead and dormant, we need to reassess those and correct them and correctly fence it. What's your take on that, sir?
I think that we shouldn't rule anything out if we take a reasonable, scientific, cultural, whatever factors we have to consider, and look at all the lands that are available and make the decision based on the best information that we have. So yeah, I wouldn't rule that out, but that's not the focus right now. That's a big effort to go in and do all of that reassessment work, and I don't think that that's something that we're necessarily geared up for at the moment.
Mr. Penn, that land that you guys will be looking for more is going to take a lot of money to fence and eradicate. The lands that are there, when they get correctively fenced, we got 49 states, Hawaii being the 50th state, never having a game management plan, is the perfect solution and being able to save what we're looking here to save.
Sounds like Lisa wanted to weigh in on that.
I mean, I don't know if you're referencing additional acquisitions. David's position is access and acquisition.
Yes.
And in certain circumstances, because we're dealing across the state, there's acquisition opportunities that may surface that may provide easy access for recreation, like ATVs, mountain biking, and perhaps even hunting. So I think we, things surface, you have a willing seller. For example, the Dole lands on Oahu, there are some opportunities there for.
The only problem I have with that, Lisa, is when we sat down with you guys in September and we seen your guys' master plan for the Watershed Initiative Program, when money is available, you guys take every forest in the state of Hawaii for fencing and eradication. That, Mr. Eiley himself, when we sat in the meeting, that was his answer to us. 5% goes now, we lose 4,800 acres from Kohala to Waipio now. We're losing that now. Now that that watershed bill has been proven to be false, it's being restructured. They're gonna call it the Aloha Challenge. It's no longer gonna be called the Rainfalls of Forest Program. And they're restructuring. But what happens, to the lands that have already been taken? We're not getting anything reassessed, re-fenced, have a game management plan in place where the animal and the forest and we coexist. There's nothing happening here. I know. I understand, but we need to get this addressed. This is the bottom line. This stops a lot of these things that we're sitting here doing, guys. This man over here is sitting, he doesn't have money for members, but they can write grants and get millions of dollars to put up fences. He can't, you got policemen sitting out the door. They could use 100 more cops on the streets to stop these kids and stuff. I just got hired to take care of a ranch. I have a letter that I'm gonna file with the police department with my name, social security number, phone number. That gives me authorization to stop the hunter coming in or to stop them there to call 911, where I'm protected, the landowner's protected. I get DLNR involved, I get Steve involved. I just brought an issue to Steve about 15 3/4. A guy's playing owner over here. They just had a fist fight at the gate where they beat up an old man, the landowner at the house sitting there. We got a lot of problems here. But this watershed bill kills us. It totally kills us, There's no restructuring that can be done until we get back into these areas, have a game management plan and reassess it. It will save millions of taxpayers' dollars. That man sitting over there is getting his cattle nailed because there's no access to the forest. There's no animals there to hunt. He can remember. Go tell your family, they all hunt for years. They know what the forest used to be. There's no game management plan, guys. These guys are gonna go and take the easiest way. We got a lot of drugs on the street. These kids is up. Cowboys all night long, days on end. Like he said, he gotta sleep in his pasture. We'll stop it.
Hey, I want to move on, keep it to the agenda, we have other people that want to testify.
Okay, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Yeah.
Next testifier is Ronald Fujiyoshi.
Here. My name is Ronald Fujiyoshi. I'm gonna testify on unfinished business. My wife, who's here with me, wrote a letter to the Game Management Advisory Commission dated May 21st and has not received an answer. Informal answer to her was that the Game Management Advisory Commission couldn't agree on how to answer the letter. Now, to me, I feel that I'm more than a member of the public. I'm a pastor of the Ola First Hawaiian Church, and although I'm a pastor, I am a proud member of Pele Defense Fund. When the first resolution came before the county on setting up the Game Management Advisory Commission, I took the time to testify in favor of it, and it was placed on the ballot, and I think a large, overwhelming number of people passed it. And my understanding of what the Game Management Commission was supposed to do is to do a game management plan for this island. And I don't see this plan coming over, and I think that's the crisis of what's dealing with all of these problems. If we have a game management plan for this island, then we wouldn't have all of the wild pigs coming into the residential area looking for food, because you will get rid of the fencing, but do it in a way dealing with the hunters, the practitioners, the gatherers, and so everybody gets a win-win situation if that plan gets done. So we should not be waiting for a game management plan from the state, but your job as people on this island was to serve the public and do a game management plan for this island. And I think that should be your #1 priority, and you shouldn't be doing any lobbying with the state or bringing state officials here to negotiate without your game management plan first. If you have the plan done, then you can tell the state what their position should be on it according to your principles. And I think that's your priority, and I speak for the public who passed the resolution and voted the resolution in, that that's what we expect you to do, and we encourage you and give you support to do that. You know, anybody can go down with a computer and download a game management plan from any of the 49 other states and work on a draft for this big island and bring it to the next meeting and call Hawaiians and practitioners and others to testify to that draft so you can improve it for the next meeting. And I don't know why that's not being done. You know, we trust you guys, you know. We trust you guys representing us from the different districts to serve us and do their job. And if you do that, I think we won't have this hakaka between ranchers and hunters and others, and then using words like poachers and others that make all the hunters look bad, yeah? I think we need to work on this plan together. And if you do that, I think you do a great service to all of us. And we will back you up 100%, and thank you for it if you get the work done. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person testifying is Michelle Griffiths.
May I make a comment to that last gentleman?
Your chair.
Is that Tom Lodge?
Yeah. Sir, Tom Lodge. To answer your question specifically, a game management plan has been addressed not only last year, it's currently being addressed again this year with the legislature.
Can you make it public for us to see so we can put feedback into it?
We have a game management plan that we're asking the legislature.
Can you make it public for us so we on this island can look at it and give feedback?
There is a game management plan already in existence that has not been released by DLNR.
Why you
We're
wait
trying
for
to get that, we're
DLNR?
trying to get that document released. And we're
You're
told that.
entitled by this council, not DLNR.
Okay, you know, the hunting lands, and this is not the time to get into a debate about this. Why don't you call me tomorrow?
No, this is a public
and I'll be happy
thing.
to discuss this with you.
It's not a personal thing.
No,
I think
understand that.
it's somebody that, everybody on this island, Mokwo Keawe, it's their kuleana. And we voted you in and passed that resolution for you to do that job. And you're supposed to be doing it for the people who live here, not for DLNR.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Next testifier is Connie, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name. No? Jean Fujiyoshi?
Connie and I are neighbors, and we're from Macadamia Nut Farmers.
Can you come? Can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as Macadamia Nut Farmers, we expect the pigs to come in a few months a year and eat some of the nuts. But beginning last year, they've been coming in every night. And they not only do damage to the farm, They come into our backyards, our gardens, our anthurium gardens, everything, and dig it up. And it hasn't stopped. It didn't happen before. And I have a feeling it has something to do with the fencing, which is keeping the food that's available to the pigs from them. And so they're coming down into the residences. And it's just going on. And I think as long as you keep fencing and have these fences up, it's going to continue. And all the residences are going to suffer because of this.
Okay,
Thank you.
the next testifier is Kanil Stocksdale.
Aloha, thank you. My name is Kaniyo Kiyimaka Stocksdale. And at this time, I'd like to relinquish my time to Mr. Deadman on some unfinished business. Mr. Deadman, quick.
Okay, sure.
Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, it's fine.
Thank
2
you.
minutes,
Thank you very
please.
much.
I want to get back to Doke. As an Hawaiian, in the courtroom, I've seen a lot of Hawaiians in the courts going for gathering issues, gathering opai in conservation areas. So I'm wondering about where's the line drawn on a Hawaiian when his gathering becomes a crime? You know, it's a natural birthright to go into and gather stuff, but when does he become a criminal when it's a natural birthright? And it's a state statute about protecting traditions and practices. How much do you understand as a dole care officer what traditional practice is, and when do you draw the line when he becomes a criminal for just being on Hawaiian gathering? So I just a question I want to ask you, because it's sad that our young starting to have a criminal record just for gathering, and you folks come up with the rules. And do you turn these citations over to the police department, or does the police department, and who follows through with the prosecution, that all of a sudden from a dole care officer who is more or less nature with the hunter or the gatherer that's got the citation, it starts to leave that and go into another department where they're not sensitive and no understanding of gathering, and it's just treated as a criminal. And it goes further away from the purpose, and now you have a judge who has no understanding about gathering rights or subsistence, coming down with the sentence on the person.
You're getting away from our agenda.
No, I'm done. I just wanted to ask that to the dole care officer.
I'm not the person to ask. I can't answer that.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Jason Sanborn.
Hi, Jason Sanborn. This is a question probably for Lisa, if she doesn't mind answering. There is PTA, in regards to PTA. They did a census a few months ago, I understand. In the fenced enclosed areas, there is approximately about 15 to 1,600 animals left in the fence enclosures in PTA. It was promised, I don't know if it was on paper, but it was promised to the hunters that the hunters could go in and try to take care of the, these areas to bring down the population. It is to my understanding, and I want yes or no clarification, that bid has been awarded to a mainland outfit and will be starting next month to eradicate these remaining and the last 1,500 animals in PTA.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to forward that question to Lisa?
Actually, that's a PTA question, and this is something we want to address with Lisa as well, and I've asked her about it, and she's agreed to talk to us about it. So I'd like to let the gentleman know that we are aware of that, and we are trying to do something about it.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Are you requesting Lisa answer? I'm sorry for using your first name, by the way, Lisa.
This is a question for PTA.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the last testifier is Patrick Pacheco.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members of this game management committee. And every time I come to a meeting, it's the same old thing. You hear what they want to tell you, but they don't listen to you what you want to tell them. This problem is not started now, it started back in the 60s. And it still remains land taken away, not eradication. Mr. Chairman, I have a question now, my opinion. We get here an agenda to a meeting. As you can see, the place here is not filled because of limited spaces that was brought up. I respect all testimony that was given, granted, very good. I request also that minutes be given out like a minutes of what was said by everybody here. Because apparently, the minutes don't get back to the people. Number two, Mr. Botello, very good question he had about fines. I brought this up 2 years ago to the county council. And the county council answer was, we have to pass a bill, send it to the legislature, the Senate, to make it law for the judiciary to push this. Talk to your councilman and tell them, get on that ball, get off that butt. Because this is continuous to happen, and I agree with you, Mr. Botello. Fines have to be put where people are going to look at it and say, no longer am I going to do this because I don't have the money. But without the fines, they're going to continue. And as we go through life as it is right now, the hunters, unfortunately because of the eradication the state has been doing and taking away all our game, they're going to go to private sector, they're going to start stealing. And let it be known, on here as I say, let it be known that the state DLNR is totally responsible for all thefts that the ranchers receive. Because if they had a game management plan from way back, which was implemented in 1960 and thrown under the table, this would never happen. But like I said, they come to the meeting, they tell you what they want you to hear, but they're not going to listen to you. This has been going on and on and on. I went to Honolulu to testify. Don't care. They need more men. Mr. Isla was sitting there. We supported a bill for them to get more money. What did Mr. Isla do? You guys see the money? Of course not. It doesn't go to the don't care. Oh, but they got new computers, new things in office where they need the manpower. So does down here. It doesn't go. So where it starts from the top. And the top is the ones that are doing this. We have representative right here, Mr. Ishii. We have people in the state. Go to them. I paid my own way to go down there and to testify. To testify to let them know that we the people of these islands, we support fishing and hunting is our lifestyle. It's our source of living. You keep taking away for plants. I agree with Joe Griffith. We have that Monroe, the sanctuary for birds. They spend millions of dollars. Go look at it up there now. The grass is all over the place. That's where the money goes, people, not to help. They don't work with us. They want us to do what they want them to do. Understand one thing. Excuse me, Mr. Lodge, I'll be done in a minute. Because apparently, I have this to say, and I'm sorry, but not in person, Mr. Lodge. When you guys come call a meeting like this, you bring an agenda. Please let everybody know what is the agenda and how many minutes you guys get to talk to. Because apparently, the time has gone out. Because every member on the board took a lot of time. Well, we have limited time. That's not fair. You guys get a meeting, bring it up at the meeting, discuss it, and bring it out to the people out here. We're listening out here to what you got to say when you could be on the board meeting. Don't get me wrong, not in person. I think you guys are doing a great job and a hell of a job. But try to find a better way so we, the people, can say it. There were a lot of people out here, they got frustrated because all the questions was asked. Let's try to find a better way, professional way, to get people here so they can listen and they can voice their opinion. Thank you, Mr. Lodge, and thank you, the Commission.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes testimony from the public for Hilo. Do you have testimony, Kona?
We do. Yeah, before you go on, Ms. Pacheco and Ms. Marks, please leave your contact information and we'll get you the minutes.
Oh,
Thank you.
please. No. No, Bobby, I want them posted for the public.
That's right,
Don't
Mr.
make
Bob.
everybody depend on me.
Come on, Bobby, it's your great job, Bobby. Just get on the ball. Do it.
I'm here to answer questions if you'd like to have a discourse, but that was not my request.
I'll defer that question to Corp Counsel as to what is legal and what is not.
Oh, please do, because we've deferred that to Corp Council on a bunch of other commissions.
How long you been with the town?
The new one, right?
That's all you use.
No.
We have a testifier here.
Come on, Bobby, do your job.
Suggestion to, excuse me, Teresa Nakama. I have more of a question for both David and Lisa and for GMAC. Have you folks considered having on your panel or in your organization or department someone that is knowledgeable of the Native Hawaiians, their lifestyle? And I'm not going to call them an expert. I'm more so a kupuna that understands ancient knowledge that brings forth the present knowledge that can be incorporated in today's management. I'm not asking for an expert because then getting to feel so specific and it gets to be public opinion. But I'm saying a go-to person that can be an advisory to GMAC, to DOFAW, to DLNR. You do not have this component of understanding when it comes to Native Hawaiian rights. It's missing. It's a missing element here. And I'm pretty sure everyone would support that because my knowledge comes from generational knowledge. And everything encompasses from mountain to ocean. It's not a specific area. And I would have to agree that the areas that have been fenced off, because now the wild invasive species have taken over. But that's another subject. But please consider an advisory person, a position that can give you some advice, some knowledge, whether it comes from Hawaii Kingdom law down to HRS laws, because even if we have Corporation Council, even if we have in the AG office, the missing component is generational knowledge. And would you please consider that?
Absolutely. All right, thank you. We're done with our testimony here.
No, I just, it's Lisa, just an FYI, the legislature this past session passed that the Endangered Species Recovery Act, the Natural Area Reserves Commission, the Board of Land and Natural Resources should have someone knowledgeable with traditional customary practice in Hawaii.
That's in a lawsuit, so you pick stuff out of a lawsuit and flood the whole
I'm
squid.
just telling you what the legislature.
Yeah, well, that's why they did that.
That taken to everybody.
The lawsuit, you know.
We should have not followed that and yet don't have that into the departments or organization or council or commissions.
They pick okey dokes.
And then Leimana.
All right, Lisa, thank you.
What's an okey doke?
I'm just.
Trying so hard to be really hard.
Future meeting date is going to be September 15th. Anybody here want to move for adjournment? I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Tom, Steve, Kurt, I didn't hear a call for new business and I wanted to bring up my item. Is that possible?
Yeah. Sorry?
Could be asked to be put on the next agenda.
We can put it on the agenda. That's the issue with the Monica State Park.
Absolutely.
You're right. Well, we can put that on the agenda for September 15th. That is an item that we're actually working on right now, as I told you on the phone. We'll put it on the agenda for the September 15th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah, no one said.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Hold on. A question from Mr. Deadman.
There's a motion right now that needs to be seconded or rescinded. You rescind your motion.
I second.
Second the motion to what?
To adjourn.
Take a vote.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thanks for trying.
Okay,
Check for adjourn.
No, that's my district, and I can attest that.
You can put them on that house, but
That's my district, and I can put them on my agenda.
Commissioner, he's a commissioner, any of those, that's takeover.